Dobrý den, hello. My name is Markéta Kaizlerová. I come here to talk to how is it to do user research in crypto hardware company. My talk will be in English, but later if you have any questions, and please have questions, I'm interested what you are interested in hearing, you can also have them in Czech. I will be also, during my talk, passing some things to you, because I have some of our products here that you can touch and you can see how it looks and get some hands-on feeling. So please, if it comes to you, check it and then send it further. So, Trezor, Martin mentioned it's a crypto company, crypto hardware company. And before I get to the company, one slide about me. I joined UX kind of by accident after studying sociology and social anthropology and doing some academic projects. I joined as intern LMC, company that today you may know as Alma Career from Czech job market, jobs.cz, práce.cz, this kind of products. Then I did some freelancing and now I'm finishing fourth year at Trezor. So what is Trezor? It's a Czech company that started the industry of hardware wallets. We were the very first to come up with this product category, let's say. Now it's worldwide and there are way more competitors. These two guys actually made it, the company, because they were solving their own needs of storing their crypto safely. And we are a part of Sadoshi Labs Holding, which means we have some daughter companies that do something in similar fashion. Today, company is 200 plus people. Honestly, I've lost count. We are international. We have colleagues all over the world, so English is main communication language. We are remote friendly. No one cares where you work from, but we have offices if you want to come. And the whole culture of that company is based on freedom, but also accountability. It means that for me, no one cares when I work or where I work from, as long as the job is done and everybody is informed. And it's also full of enthusiasts. For a lot of people, it's a personal thing, crypto, especially Bitcoin, which means there's a lot of energy, the good one, also one in some discussions. What we do hardware wallets. As Martin mentioned, it's a way to store your cryptocurrency safely. Just out of curiosity, if you can raise a hand, if you've ever explored crypto, anything in any way. Cool. If people do this, usually they first end up on some Coinbase, Binance, some mobile app where you can buy, play with it, maybe sell also. But once the amount that you have gets bigger, you want to store it more safely. So that's what hardware wallets are from. I will be sending here the devices. It starts from the very old school. They are like 14 years ago. And then it follows with some more modern models. Why do people buy it? If I talk to our users and I say, like, what made you buy a hardware wallet? Usually they say, I want a peace of mind. They want to be safe from hacks, thefts, and there's a lot of that in crypto, or some exchange collapses or other project collapses. Every once in a while in news, you can see that some project went down and some people lost their savings. So that's what we do. A bit more. What does it mean for research work? It's interesting because we have mobile app, desktop app, e-shop where people buy these things. We have hardware devices, that means Trezors. We have also Trezor Keep Metal. I will talk about that later. That's for storing your codes securely. And we have a lot of accessories from some bumpers, some of these to store your Trezor and so on. Also firmware, that's a name for the thing that runs here on that small display, which has also like a bit different design thing that you may know from mobile. Packaging, all the things in which this is wrapped, and also services. You can see it there on the photo. We have Trezor Expert, which is like an online assisted onboarding for people who are new to crypto and to hardware wallets. So that's the whole service where we were also part of designing it. So that's the company. How about my team? We live in product line of our company. So we have like business unit, product, engineering, operations, production. And UX research team is part of the product. There is software part, hardware, and design, and we live in design. My team consists of 5 people, but together we are a bit more than 3 full-time working hours, and we also have Františka, who's more focused on market research. And how we work. In my career, I've encountered different types of how research team works. Maybe there are more than are here, but this is something from my experience. So you can be embedded. You can be part of a specific team who works on some specific problem or part of the product, and you are with them. You do the team ceremonies, you are there with their roadmaps every week, and so on, and you focus on just that one area. You can be internal agency, which means that each researcher, they join product in some team, they work with them, when it's finished, they leave the team and they move to some other task. So you are exchanging the focus, let's say. Or also democratized research. That's the case where a lot of people in the company do research, and the researcher is more of a mentor or a support so that they keep the quality on sufficient level, and they are supporting other roles. In Trezor, we are somewhere in between embed and internal agency. So we switch on the products, but I, for example, focus a bit more on the trading part. My colleague Zuzana more on the hardware part, and sometimes we exchange this focus. So we are somewhere in between at the moment. How does the workflow look like? First, some research project is born. How does that happen? In the company, for every half a year, we have a set of goals, what we want to achieve as the whole company. With my team, we look at them and say, okay, where is some potential for research? If it's some new project, some innovation initiative, that's for sure, maybe some other. And we talk with people who lead those projects to sort of get an idea of what's ahead of us in that half a year. Then we keep in contact with product managers and UX designers. And when the time comes, they are ready in their roadmap to dive into it. That's the moment when we kick it off. It usually looks like this. We communicate a lot on Slack, so there's just some casual conversation. Okay, we could kick off this initiative. We set up some timeline, and I put the project into our research backlog. Sometimes we also do some ad hoc consults across the company. I was helping our HR, for example, setting up an employee satisfaction survey, or our support team wanted to check their satisfaction as well. Sometimes I get to apply research skills also elsewhere. Every week we have UX research status. It means we meet and we check how are our projects going. You can see this is from our planning. So each member says, okay, what am I doing? If it's going great or not, we need any help, anything. And also we check capacities. So if somebody says, okay, I'm ready to take on something new, I'm just finishing, so I can start working on something else, then we distribute it in the team based on the capacity. So this is the model of internal agency. But if there is like a trading project, mainly I will be covering it if I have capacity. Then, if the project sits with me, I send to my colleagues this template. It's something we created in Notion, where all of our documentation lives. And I just tell them, check it and write there anything that comes to your mind. It's like a preparation for our kickoff meeting. I don't need any fancy formulation, no AI, please. Just anything that you have in your mind, you feel you need now in the product. And then the kickoff meeting. That's honestly one of the parts of the work that I enjoy the most. It's sort of a coaching session where with my stakeholders, I try to find the best possible impact of the project and to really find what they need actually. So I have this set of questions that I usually go through. What do you need to find out? Why right now? What type of insights will be most useful for you? And one that's tricky for them, once you have them, which decisions will you going to do? And what are the variations of these decisions? Sometimes this is for them like tricky conversation, because I make them think a lot. And in the end, there are two scenarios. One is let's do it, let's do this project. And the other is let's not. What are the possible reasons why not? Sometimes we end up with like, do we really need to research this? Because the risk is very low. For example, doing some minor changes in design, it's not in any crucial flow. We can do it and measure and not research first. Or we find out that they need something else. They don't need more insights from users. They need some internal alignment, workshop, competitor analysis, or dive into the data. Bear with me. I have a few more general slides, and then we will dive into some case studies. But I wanted to give you some overview of what methods you would find if you would come work for us, and what you can encounter. So what we do, a lot of is usability studies, either in person, physically in the same space, or online, and in-depth interviews. That's the most common thing. I usually combine them, so we have first, 30 minutes, some chat about how people deal with their crypto, how do they think about it, or it's more specific to some topic, and then we get into some prototypes or their apps. We also do questionnaires, either quantifying some insights that we have, or when we release these devices and people start using them, we are curious about their feedback. So we ask for feedback after, for example, 2 weeks of using it. When we are dealing with some informational architecture things, we use card sorting, tree testing, unmoderated studies, all kinds of these. And from strategic point of view, we have personas, so some profiles of our users that help product, but also marketing a lot, shaping the communication, and market research, which is now connected the most with expansion, because we are discovering some new markets, and maybe they work different than what we are used to, so there's a lot of activities in that. Of course, some A/B tests and contextual surveys, but these are not so much because we need to develop these things a lot on ourselves, not using some external tools for reasons that I will talk about. So this is not so much. Which method it will be, that depends a lot on the research question. When it comes to the recruiting, we use user interviews. It's international panel of people that you can reach out to for moderated and unmoderated tests. In our own application, we have some prompts, like after you finish trading flow, we are like, hey, would you like to chat about your experience? And we are offering some sale on our eShop and some Amazon vouchers and so on. Sometimes we reach out via LinkedIn, especially if we need some physical testing in Prague and we need people who are local so that they are reachable. Or sometimes we even test on our own people inside of the company. That happens when the problem is not sensitive to them knowing the brand, but it's pure usability. So maybe first round we do internal because it's very cheap and fast, and then we move external. We use Useberry for unmoderated tests with their prolific panel, and sometimes newsletter, sometimes even on conference, depends what's the trick. Or I was also lately using Respondent.io for Indonesia because I needed to do some study there and user interviews are not covering it. And last from the general slides, this is where all of our projects live. You can see there the planning part. That's what I was showing you, how does it look on our every week status. Backlog, where projects wait to be taken by some researcher. And in completed are all the projects that we've ever done. We try to tag it so that people who come newly to the company, they can go through, they sort what is the part of the product that they will do, and they can explore what's there. So this was more on a general note. And now let's get a bit more specific. I have 2 case studies for you, research projects that we've done, step by step. First is Trezor Keep Metal. That is this thing. So this metal heavy thing, which purpose is to store your codes. If you own crypto in your like self-custody way, which means that you're really the owner, you need some security codes, let's say, and you can have them written somewhere on paper, but if you have a lot, people might not feel that safe, so they want some durable solution. So this is it. When we were doing this research, the situation was that this was brand new product. It has very specific coding system. You will see it when you get it in your hands, which is not really easy to wrap your head around. Like, how does it work? And since the idea is that you actually punch the codes inside, if you make mistake, the whole thing is worthless. So it's sensitive so that you don't make mistakes, because so that you can read it well. And at the moment, there were no marketing materials yet whatsoever. So the goal was to design content for packaging so that when people buy it, they can actually use it correctly. That was the idea. So we started with me, with the product manager, having a talk. Okay, so tell me bullet point by bullet point how people should do it. So he said, okay, first they open the box, blah, blah, blah. So we came up with backup instructions, first draft of the prototype. Just to show you how does it look. Maybe you can see me here. So you get some package. There are a lot of things. And you are supposed to open the capsule and place it in a specific part of the packaging so that it doesn't move. Then I would have the codes and pre-marking pen, which is like fancy way for fix. And I will first mark it on the specific parts of the Trezor Keep metal so that I know where to punch later. And then the punching goes. So you choose the moment, choose the point, and you go. And this way you make a mark into it, and you get the codes there. So not an easy process. I will send it as well. Occasionally punch is not disturbing to me, so feel free to try it. So we had these instructions. Okay. And we were testing the content. Means I'm not worried about whether this is according to our tone of voice yet, or if it's fancy or stylistically and grammatically perfect. I'm testing whether it has the information so that people can actually go through. So, research questions. Are users able to use it according to the ideal scenario, the Trezor Keep metal? What are the potential confusions? Which parts of the process need more precise explanation, probably visual, with some pictures? What's obvious, what's not? Thank you. So we had just this backbone, and we were curious which parts really need way more love than just one line. So we did usability testing. It was a combination of our in-house people who don't know anything about this product or product development at all, and external people. We were in our offices, and if you imagine the interview going, it started with unboxing the thing, dealing with the instructions, punching that you just saw, and then also some extra things. It looked like this. This is a photo from the testing. You can see there are the instructions and people going through. I was recording it on a phone camera. Again, nothing fancy, just on my normal phone. And I had colleagues from hardware and other departments sitting in so that they can see. And I have a video for you, so we will see whether... You can see it's not clear right away, really. They're first exploring this punch tool.
Co tě teď znejistilo?
Že jsem myslela, že to bude protlačit. Což... Nevím, jestli mám víc zatlačit, jenom.
You will see once you try, you really need to push quite a lot.
Ne, tak ne.
Sorry.
Tak ne, tak bych nějak asi...
So as you can see, this part was confusing to people because you need to really push through a bit, and it was not clear from instructions. So we had these sessions. There were like 6 or 7 of them. I made notes from each one of them. My research brain lives in Miro. I don't know if you know the tool. I'm the visual type. Some people love Excel. I'm this way. So I put notes from all the interviews, and I use also some color coding. So if you see a green one, it's success. It means they accomplished what they were supposed to well. If there is a light pink, it's some hiccup, but nothing major. It's not a blocker. If it's dark pink, that's a problem. That's something that means they cannot use it, they are making mistakes, or they are using it unsafely, let's say. And the blue ones are for some questions. So this is something that I help myself to orient in. Also, some colleagues can add their notes. And then I spend some quality time here, and I'm extracting the insights. I'm looking for the answers to the research questions. From that, the report is born. So this is part of the report from this testing. So you can see that the punch tool functioning was not clear right away. As I mentioned, people started dismantling even first, trying to find out how does it work. Like, not really sure what's the first step, but it wasn't blocker for them. Some users were unaware that they need to really use some force to punch through, and they thought, as you see the lady on the video, that it was not functioning. It was like a broken, let's say. Otherwise, it was quite okay for this part, and also that the coding system, it's quite small. So if you have a lower site level, let's say, it can have some accessibility issues. The report was longer. This is just a little sneak peek from it. And then also the instructions. So this is, again, just a bit from the instructions part. You can see open the box, okay. Take out backup capsule and punch tool, okay. And then it starts to get complicated. Open the capsule, insert it inside the part, back to the packaging box where the punch tool was previously placed. So you can see that from the complexity arises, even how to name the parts of the product so that it's clear for people, and how to make them aware that they need to switch the places. You will see it's for security reasons, because if you would do it just on the table, you will probably damage the table or yourself. So having it in this tray is also a security thing. So we got a lot of feedback for all of the materials, the instructions. And this part of the project was over, and what I do some internal communication after each project, spreading the word of research. Usually on Slack, I try to find some angle that's amusing for people, or could be. Here, after we did all the punching, we tried some advanced things as well. If you have it and have it closed, there is also a holographic sticker with it. So you can wrap it over, and you will find out if somebody looked into it or not. Because the sticker, once you would try to unpeel it, it breaks. So this was one thing, and we were also playing with some nail polish, which is a very nerdy thing, actually. For people who want to have it really unique, they make some ornaments around it with nail polish, and they take a picture of that, and this is super hard to replicate. So this is like a interesting move, but also, yeah, how many nerds have nail polish? Who knows? So, internal communication of the project, but then it didn't stop. There were some other steps, other rounds. So we got some insights, and we worked on it. We went visual, we went with pictures, and with more structure than what you've seen. Research questions, some of them stay the same, but some of them are a bit more specific, focus on design in the critical step 3, the pre-marking and punching. So we already have some more focus. But basically, we found out some issues previously, and now is it going to get fixed or not? This is how the prototype looked. So quite some advancement, let's say. So we chose the things that need to be visual from the previous round. We again did some testing. You can see it's 3D printed box, because we didn't have the final package yet. And we glued some parts of the of the prototype of the instructions onto that to see whether it works or not. And in the end, how it looks, you can see it from the thing that's actually moving around here. But it's a bit tired. It was with that on several conferences. But you get the whole thing. So this is how you get from this to that, basically. So that was the first case study, Treasure Keep Metal. Enjoy the rest of the punching. And the second one, I tried to pick something completely different. So we are leaving hardware and in-person testing. And let's deep dive into trading. With Trezor, you can also buy, sell, or swap crypto if you like to. And the situation was that we just recently moved this part of the product from our daughter company that was actually serving it in-house for us, which meant we didn't have reliable data yet because the process was a lot in migration. But we already seen that the retention is not so great. Retention being, I come, I buy there, I'm happy, I buy again. Or I'm not, and thank you, never more. So the retention was not really that great, and we needed to find out why and how can we improve it. So the research question here was, what are the possible reasons or hypotheses as to why is our retention this bad? We did it two-step, first trying to find out what are the possible reasons and then see which of them is strongest. So I dived deep into desk research. I checked customer support with our support people and all the issues that were reported connected to trading. We checked community and socials. We have very active community on Reddit, on X, on other platforms. So we're checking what are the issues that people talk about, what's the sentiment? Is there any hypothesis about what's sort of wrong with it? Then Trezor Forum, where people can interact with us and sort of see guidance. So that was another source. And then I also talked to the team. They were taking care of it for some time. So I was curious what's in their heads. Their hypotheses were, for example, that we have high fees, because compared to some of our competition, we have higher fees. But there are some reasons. And they thought that this was the strongest one. And then I also consulted AI if there is anything I didn't think of yet, and it could be relevant. Out of this, I had these hypotheses. So either it has poor UX, because it's quite lengthy, there are a lot of steps and so on, or buggy, it just doesn't work in some cases. High fees, that's what I mentioned, some transaction issues that you go, but it doesn't get processed. Or bad provider experience, because people go there via Trezor, but at some point they need to interact with external provider for processing the payment and everything. So these were the main ones. Then some additional low support from Trezor, or they just wanted to buy once and that's it. So there was no need at all, and so on. So we had these, but that's the question. Let's find out which one of them is the biggest pain for users. So here for the second part, the research question, what's the most painful issue that users experience during their trade flow? When thinking on how to get some answer to that question, we went with this contextual questionnaire. So it's just very dummy questionnaire, nothing fancy. You can rate and you can write there any feedback. We put it right after the user finishes the flow, because that's the moment where the sentiment is created after that trading experience. You are either okay, that was fine, or like never more, or come on, there's this issue. So that's where you're most willing to share and what we want to catch. We let it fly with the people for some time, and then we checked our data. It was a lot of insights. You can see it's colorful, so some people were quite happy, that's the green one. Some people so-so, some people really not. And we had a lot of also text answers that provided for us some more insights. It had one thing that due to some technical things, how it's exported from the app and so on, we couldn't categorize it right there, but it needs to be done manually, which is a bit painful. But in the end, it turns out that the product manager that manages this part of the product He's using it as his daily dose of user insights. So he actually really checks it daily because there are several answers every day coming there. And he's marking it, which is for us good because then we can track the hypothesis, how much count is there actually for each of them. So this is like preparing of the data, and it's me and AI working together. So what I do now is I take some period of time, for example, a month. I take all of these answers and I'm checking how does it look. I look at their overall satisfaction, so how people are happy or not overall, and then separately for buying, selling, and swapping, because these have a bit different process. I'm not sharing everything here, sorry, but you will probably get an idea. And then I was checking the answers for happy people and for people who are not so happy, who rated it 1 to 3, trying to find out what are the issues there. And I also checked specific providers who have low rating, so people are not happy with them. What are the issues there? This is an example how it could look, one of the issues. That's KYC, know your customer, which means that with some services, if you want to buy something, you need to give them your ID and actually go through this process when you verify you are really you and so on. And it creates a lot of pain for users. You can see it's lame, complicated, and so on. And you can see there also what are the frictions. There are some errors or it's unexpected, and they wanted to know documents before the process even started and so on. So this is how it can look like, part of the report then. And also we started with some hypotheses and wanted to quantify them. So this is what's happening. I see in that month which one of them were reported the most. So I see that this one needs some love, let's say. And I can compare this month to month and see how it develops. So the outcome is that we know what's the biggest issue in trading retention at the moment. The fees were not it, if you're wondering. So the product team was also okay. It's something different, and it means that you know where to focus your capacity and effort as a product team. So this actually ended up shaping their roadmap as well. But the data keeps coming in. So we are using it also for other things. For example, as I mentioned, the feedback on the low-scoring providers. Turns out that it's also quite nice evidence that if we want to support our arguments, how we're dealing with them, that they should improve their part of the experience. Because if we have data to back it up, hey, you are one of the lowest scoring providers, the experience is not good. This is what people complain about. They are more willing to do something about, or we can have a talk about it. And again, as I mentioned, with every project, I do some internal communication around what's happening and why. One thing is just to let people know that we've done something, but we have also some more junior people, and designers and product managers. And so we do it also to make them aware of what's possible, how you can tackle if you have some situation in product that it's not always interview, it's not always testing, but it can be something different. So these were the 2 case studies. Now I have 2 more topics, and those are the things that when I was thinking what's specific about researching in Trezor, and that's the privacy sensitivity, let's say, topic, and then hardware. So when I joined the company, I had some expectation that it's finance, it's cryptocurrencies, people will be protecting their privacy a lot, they will be secretive, maybe I will even have hard time getting access to them, getting them to talk to me about these topics. Or that it will be tricky with some tools. Are they going to be willing to meet on Google Meet, or is it too mainstream for them and they will need something else? Well, that was the expectation. The reality is quite different. Actually, many times it's me saying, please don't tell me, this should stay private. Or I don't know where you are hiding your codes. Somehow, sharing sensitive information is not so uncommon in my work, that people do not really have this set up very strictly. They are willing to share the codes, their location, security strategies, balances, operations, all kind of things. So it sometimes sets up into the position me as a researcher to actually pushing the boundary that this is not what they are supposed to share. If you're asking why, these are some of my hypotheses. I don't know if it's the truth. That's how I think about it. Crypto works in many ways very different than traditional finance, and it's sort of a bigger mental process to get your head around it. For example, you have these codes that I was talking about, and they give access to all of your crypto. If you lose them, there's no one going to help you. That's it. If somebody else gets a hold of these, they have all access to your crypto. And this is very different than what we are used from some banking products and so on. So this is called self-custody, that you are the custodian of your money. And that's quite complex if you're not familiar with it, because it's a new thing. It's hard to find metaphors even for it in design and so on. And people still have this mindset from other products that if they lose something, or they just, it's somewhere, but it will be somehow secured, like, or I lose my credentials to my internet banking. Maybe it will be some pain, but I will eventually get access. And this works really different. So they are not that cautious as they could be, let's say. And sometimes it's also maybe influenced because our company has high trust from people, because that's what we sort of stand on. So they might feel safe sharing something with me, but we try to push back and educate. You shouldn't trust anybody. That's the whole point of storing your crypto this way, and not even to Trezor. So who knows? This is some of my hypotheses. How do we do it around our company policy? We collect as little data as possible. Why? We want to give people as much privacy as we can. That's one of the value of the company. So we don't want to know what you do, how much crypto do you have, who are you, what are your preferences there and there. Anything that could be damaging to you as a person, if somebody finds out it's leaked, it's hacked or anything, we don't want to share. We don't want to have, let's say. And also, what we don't have can be stolen. The crypto is quite wild west still. There are a lot of hacks, a lot of scams, a lot of phishing, even in our company. So it's a topic, and this is one of the precautions. The data that you don't have, nobody steals from you. So even if you buy something from us, after 90 days, we anonymize the data and so on. We have quite strict policies around this. A very strict criteria for tools and services. Either we want to have it open source so that we know what it does, or check this very, very well. It means some limitations for some tools, also for product development, or we do the things ourselves because we need really the security to be there very solid. What does it mean if it's this landscape, let's say? For product development, this is an issue, especially with analytics, because you have a number of fancy tools that you can connect to your product, and then you have very clear idea what your users do, how often, how does it evolve, and so on. Here with us, not really. We have no user unit that you could look and see what does the user do. We have no idea how much money you have on the Trezor or in the apps. We are also unable to connect it. We have mobile app and desktop app, and we don't know that that's you. The two devices are actually used by one person. We have some analytics that we set up ourselves, but it's more like connecting events. So we measure what's called instance. So if you plug in your Trezor and you open the app, that's when the instance starts, and we are measuring some events there. So I know that approximately, I don't know, just thinking this out, 20% of people, when they plugged in the Trezor, they do some transaction, but I cannot look at you as user or segments. We have very nice consent rates for these internal analytics that we have in our app, but we have no idea what do the people who don't consent do and how do they behave. So that's something that's something we are okay with, because it has some it's based on some values, but it complicates things. When it comes to research activities, it's not such a big deal, actually. Of course, it is because from the product projects, we don't have that much backing up in data. Yeah, it has this, but for our everyday practice, it's not such a big deal. Only with recruiting, we will never have a panel with people that we can reach out to, that we would manage ourselves, because that means storing their personal data, which we don't do. But we are still talking about sensitive topics, finance, crypto, and so on. So what I try to do is to focus really, increase the willingness of people to talk to me as much as I can, at the same time for them to feel safe. I explain really well what I'm interested in and why do I care. My experience is that if I frame this really well and they understand why am I asking something they would otherwise feel it's maybe like, why, aren't you a scammer? Then it increases that they want to talk to me. And I tell them very well also what I'm not interested and they shouldn't talk about. That's what I meant, the pushing boundaries from my side as well. We will talk about the codes and your storage of them, but I don't want to know where you have them. So setting up the boundaries there. And I really emphasize that, yeah, I will be asking some topics, but if you at any point feel you are not about sharing this, it's fine, let me know, we will skip it and move to some other question. So really make this okay for them to skip. So what I do, I tell them, for example, with the codes, tell me how you thought about storing these codes. Which alternatives were you considering and why? Is there something that you discarded right away, for example, but I don't ask where they have it? So that's one thing. The other is, yeah, it would be great if I could just look how people use our app, but they have their balances there. So, and that's something that I don't want to see and they most likely don't want to share. So if I'm curious about their usage of the app as it is right now, there are also several strategies I can take. One is that we built a prototype that actually mirrors the live app, but it's without their data. So I send them this prototype and I ask them, do the send flow when you're sending Bitcoin somewhere, for example, as you do normally, and I watch how they do it. Or something that I quite like doing, I call it mirroring, is that we are connected on the desktop. We see each other face to face, but they are on their mobile, for example. We are checking their mobile app, which I'm not seeing. They are having their phone like this, and they are telling me what I'm asking. So this is what user sees, and I'm sharing on the desktop my app or my testing app from the company, and I'm checking like, is it this? Does it look the same? Do you mean this? So that we get as close as possible to the experience that if I would be actually looking into their app. So that's one other thing. Or some apps, also other apps in the crypto space, they have discrete mode, which means that you can hide your balances. This is a bit tricky because it would be great, it would be the best, right? I can check the app and I don't see your balances, but as you can see here from the graph, you could have some idea what does the person have. And sometimes if you hover over, it shows the balances. So we really need to check before which parts of the app we would be going through and explain this to people really well. So there is this reliability issue. And one more note, hello. For this privacy thing, for sure, there are really privacy-sensitive people. They are just probably, at the moment, not participating in our interviews. We have some contact with them. They are very active on Reddit or on X and your community channels, so we can know they are there and even what they think about stuff. But for the last couple of years, the company focus was way more on the mass market, not any of these niche groups. So that's why this was not such a big issue yet. So I'm closing up this privacy sensitivity. That's one thing specific for Trezor. And let's move to the last part of the presentation, and that's that we are a hardware company. When I joined, previously I was doing just software. I was like, okay, so how is it to research hardware? Is there any specific methodology or anything you need to pay attention to, and so on? So I did quite extensive desk research for myself, even some interviews with people who do it. And my outcome is that there is no special methodology, or no one found it yet. It's the same principles as with software, but very well adapted to hardware. Well adapted, what does it mean? When I was thinking what's ahead of me when I started this position, I thought the biggest thing would be the physicality of the things. That you have their ergonomics, accessibility in all the other ways, or materials, this kind of things. Yeah, that's there. But I learned that the biggest adaptation is timing and its consequences. Because hardware development has really different nature than software development. This is one example how it could look. You can see there are several loops, which then practically with Trezor, for example, look like this. What's behind it is that compared to software, it has very low flexibility. If you need to change something in software, you can build it, you have a release, and it's out. Of course, it has some limitations from time to time, but it can be quite fast, iterative, With hardware, not really. There is not much flexibility. From time to time, there are hard locks, which means there is a decision that's not changed, because then all the other things need to follow. You have some parts of it that need to come from all around the world and marry oneself in that specific moment. So there's these dependencies, a lot of them, and there is very huge costs if you make mistake. So if we would not verify something, for example, and then it stops working, it's not this one release, but it's essentially going into the factory and changing the line, which is extra costs, and so on, and so on, and so on. So it's a very different process. And the other part, the other thing, is the launch day. If you have some hardware product, and it's not something small, it's something bigger, it's usually presented to the public at some event, which needs to be booked months before, which needs to be marketed, people need to be invited, and everything. So there's this hard deadline that you have that's not really negotiable. It means that there are these locks after which there are no changes. Closer you get to this launch day, a lot of stress in the company arises, and the priority is elsewhere than research. It's really a lot on production, so that we really build it and everything goes there well, and checking the quality. That's the biggest thing right before the launch. And as I mentioned, everything needs to come together at that moment. You need to have the hardware ready, the software ready, packaging, marketing. eShop needs to be running to be right there. You have the whole event, you have the influencer briefing. Maybe they will need some devices before so that they can try it out and they have their articles ready then. Journalists, even catering. So this is like a time pressure that you have on the delivery side. It means that you need to adapt as researcher in hardware to this. And the main adaptation is getting as ahead as the process as you can. If you would want to contribute to some hardware development with some exploratory research, like which problems are we going to solve or who, these more strategic initiatives, you need to do it way before the project starts. It's not like, let's open this topic and now let's have time to do some strategic research. It needs to be done way before. Ideally, when the previous hardware project is still going, so that you have time to do it. Because once the project starts, it's too late. Everybody's mind goes to like technical side of things, setting up the features and everything, seeing whether it will work or not. In hardware development, at least from my experience, it's not so usual to use research strategically a lot. So it's something that we also are trying to like squeeze in. Here we can give some value. That was the more strategic part. When we come to the usability testing, whether actually people will be able to use these things, if you would be waiting to have this functioning prototype, like the ones that you have amongst you, to have with firmware, with having it like alive with the software inside, it means you will have no time to validate, because this is very, very short window. So you need to hack it somehow. So how do we do it? We start remote online with prototyping in Figma. So this is, for the latest device, we added Bluetooth. So we needed a new flow with our app, connecting the Trezor with the app via Bluetooth. So we started with making the device also in Figma, and just dealing with the software part at that moment, and with the cross-device interactions this way. It's far from perfect, but it does the job. We have some insights how to work on this flow. So this is what we do very first. Then we start simulating some cross-device interactions. So instead of a Trezor, we have a mobile phone. Here is a simulation of Trezor, and we did these 3D prints so that it's more imaginable, better for users. And this way, we create little Trezor display. It's the same size as the actual thing, so we can have some experience with this and actually test. And it's done in ProtoPie. I think it's the tool which allows cross-device interactions. So the person has this and my computer, and if they tap something here, it changes something in my computer, which simulates how it works in reality. So this is one thing how we do, sending it as well. Then, as a next part, we have some physical prototypes that are somehow working. The firmware on them is running, and they are able to do this cross-device interaction. They are usually not perfect, not done, sometimes even 3D printed, but you can somehow get the feel of it. Sometimes we do also some like ad hoc things. This is a bit broken already, but just to give you an idea, this was connected together, and my colleagues sent some signal inside, and we were checking the haptic feedback when this goes like the vibration. So what's too much, what's enough. So even sometimes are these smaller things, or this is for display, how dark the glass can be so that it's still visible well. Sometimes it's very like separate topics. What we also do is that we are not waiting for the whole thing. We are really slicing it a lot, what we are going to do. So we started, this was what you saw the first, that was the mobile device Bluetooth setup. This was purely in Figma. Then there are some packaging stuff, then basic navigation. How are you going to work in the Trezor? How is it going to look? The basic principles. Then home screen and some menu. Then again, setup and then cross-device pairing. So that as the launch day comes, we've already gone through the flows as they are also being built so that we can test them on the real devices. So this is going really layer by layer. And then comes the cherished window where you have the real functioning device and you can test how it works. This is perfect because then you have everything as it's supposed to be, but it's very small. So actually it needs to be just the final check that everything that you worked on before just sort of clicked in together. You are not starting here, you're finishing here. Another part, we've been now checking just the devices, but in the meantime, we are coming to those teams and saying, hey, is there anything we can do right now? I know the deadline is later, but can we work on packaging now? And we are trying to get as ahead as we can, because then always something happens and needs to be postponed and so on. And we want to validate as much things as we can. So we are working ahead on packaging, on the marketing content, eShop experience, anything that can be done and is not waiting until some parts come from all around the world, which the hardware is a lot dependent on that. So I'd say that the hardware is hard, but that's what they say, and wouldn't want to be a product manager of hardware at all. It's a very stressful thing, but researching hardware from my experience is quite fun, and it's sort of refreshing to mix it up with the software stuff. So, one of the last slides, I was talking now a lot about researching and how does it look in our company, what I do. But it's not the only thing I do. What's also part of my weeks is some team ceremonies. We have the status that I was talking about, 101, when I can complain to my boss about anything. And smart apps, which we do because, as I mentioned, we work in this internal agency mode. We do work on different projects. So every quarter we meet with fellow researchers and share what we've learned, what we experimented, and so on, so that the knowledge doesn't get lost. I get to do facilitations, team retrospectives, workshops, or facilitating some offsite. It's also public speaking sometimes. I'm part of the hiring, not just researchers, but also product managers and designers. Some research operation topics. I was scouting the tool for Indonesia, for example, or checking recruitment channels, what we can do differently, and trying to automate as much as possible. Attend some conferences. Sometimes I do some product work, take on some product discovery initiative, ownership of that. And also education. Either I can spread some education about research skills to the company, or I enjoy some education myself. So that's a little sneak peek into Trezor. That's all from me. So thank you for your attention. And I'm really curious about any questions you might have.